religiously, I want to believe people are fundamentally good. Yeah, I think people are, A, I think people are fundamentally good, and B, I think people are fundamentally humorous, and people fundamentally want to laugh. And, you know, if someone is not laughing, that's the exception, that's the perversion. Because I think you can be turned from someone who likes to laugh to someone who doesn't, but I think it's almost impossible to go the other way. I don't think, no one's ever met a humorless person who became a funny one. No. You can learn the forms and whatever, and maybe you could even learn the forms so well that you can fool most people, but you wouldn't be able to fool the genuinely funny people. Of course. Boredom, you know, and I think also just there's such an intense psychic pain just being alive and all this stuff going on around you and on top of you, and it's suffocating. You know, humor is a release. It is joyful. You know, it's like sex, but you can have it more often. It's like cheap sex. You can do it all the time. So, you know, I don't know. It's sort of cliche to have a funny rabbi. You know, every rabbi thinks he's pretty hilarious, or at least they do nowadays. And in the old days, I think they thought they were pretty serious. You know, I don't know. I could wax philosophical and say, well, there's, you know, comedy and religion are about some sort of aspiration to something higher, or you know, to elevate us. And when we laugh, you know, our souls become bigger. But I don't think so. I think rabbis are smart people, and I think smart people tend to be funny. So maybe that's the connection. By the way, I should have been drinking coffee, but I don't. Is there any connection whatsoever? You know, I think there must be some connection between religion and comedy, because because the people I know in comedy are either pretty religious, or and that's the minority, or they swing the other way completely and are rabidly atheistic. So maybe there's some emotional switch that gets clicked on either way. That's a good question. Comedy is a lot more self-aware than it used to be. The audience is a lot more self-aware of, you know, you're not just making jokes necessarily anymore. You're making jokes on jokes, and your jokes have reference to other jokes. And it might have been in the old days only other people in the comedy business would know these things, but now we've got such a vast cultural backlog on DVD and everything that everyone knows every Monty Python sketch, and everyone knows this and that we're all kind of, we and the audience are making references to and winking at them from things, you know, that are 40 years old. That said, comedy probably hasn't changed as much as we think it has either. You know, I mean, that I can say, okay, well, we all have that reference point, but it's probably in a small way not that big a deal. And that's a good question. Because I would say we still laugh at slapstick, but we don't as much, you know, and it would be very hard for, you know, to get away with something as primitive as like an early 60s Jerry Lewis movie right now. You know, even the kids aren't laughing at that anymore. You got Mr. Bean, like, and that's nice slapstick, but it somehow seems more sophisticated. But that might just be because it's more our modern style. It used to be, you know, if you lived in a village and didn't have TV and a clown came through, you thought that was the funniest goddamn thing you'd ever seen in your life. You know, he fell on his butt, amazing. If you've got, you know, 8 hours of TV every day and you can see amazing, you know, you can see Marcel Marceau and you can see Lenny Bruce and you can see whatever, you know, the exposure makes you more of a critic, you know. If you've only eaten peanut butter and jelly sandwiches all your life, you think those are pretty great, but, you know, once you tasted caviar, forget about peanut butter. I don't there's an awful lot of it being produced. I think what we're doing now, is an area where we're going to see a lot of comedy produced, just in smaller, just with the internet, sort of the power that's given to people just to produce things. I mean, we're going to see things on YouTube. We're going to see people have a funny idea and shoot it on their DV camera and get it out there that afternoon. But people are always also going to want to see bigger, more expensive things. They're always going to want to see sitcoms, I think, or big, funny movies. You want to see something nice, It's like, okay, YouTube, that was a funny video that guy made, but I want a compelling story too. People like stories. We've always liked stories. So I don't think comedy's going to change. Okay, here I don't think the form comedy takes is going to be all that different in the future. Now, I don't know which way the world's going to go, but if the world gets darker, then the comedy will probably become darker, become more violent. We might be seeing some of that now. I tend not to watch any comedy, otherwise it would be my whole life. And also, I get so critical. It's impossible just to watch anything and enjoy it, so I tend to keep away from it as much as possible. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's changing it it's changing it. There's really no telling. Yeah, it's better. It's nice to be able to have a DVD of funny stuff, and it's nice to be able to go on YouTube and watch these funny guys. But I saw these funny guys doing a David Blaine impression the other day. That was funny. I got to watch that. Now I don't have to see it anymore. But it's out there, that R. Kelly, Trapped in the Closet. Like, that's all great stuff, and it's there, and so that's all for the good. As a this isn't strictly about computers, but as a visual agent, written comedy is non-existent. There's a couple of pages in the front of the New Yorker, and that's really it. So that's kind of sad. But there's plenty to read if you want to. I can certainly make fun of my people, and others can too. I mean, it's. I feel like I think as a Jew, it's sort of a specific case, because there are a lot of Jewish writers, and we tend to go to the Jew well a lot in comedy. And to be honest, it's really easy, and I don't love that. I think it's a little too easy. Ethnically, I think you'll find a lot of comedy writers are Jewish and a lot are Irish. And I'm not sure why those two streams sort of came together, but we tend to get along, so it's nice. I think some Jewish jokes are very funny, and I think others are just saying the word Jew and expecting a laugh, and that's easy. As far as other ethnicities go, I don't feel like anything should be out of bounds. I just, I'm stridently, First Amendment, stridently Second Amendment too, but I like all those amendments, and. But then again, but that said, if you say something offensive, you can expect to get your ass kicked. You should have the right to say it, though. I think everyone self-censors. I mean, you think awful things. I'm sure you're thinking awful things right now. But, we all think terrible, terrible, terrible things. So sometimes the terrible things I think of are jokes. And so I don't always say those out loud. I probably self-censor a lot less than a lot of people, and I've certainly said some terrible things, which I regret. But that's okay. I can't say I think about it. Again, it's, I would ask you, or I'd ask anyone, is it easier for them to self-censor sometimes? Do you walk around saying, I'm censoring myself right now? No, but you aren't telling every beautiful woman how much you'd like to have sex with her, or every attractive man the same thing if you find both of them equally attractive, Has it become easier to sell? I don't know. I guess when you're a kid, yeah, you say anything you want. I'm an adult now. I don't. I would say it's not any different for a comedy writer or a writer in general than it is for anyone else. I think we're afforded more freedom. I think writers and comedians don't have to censor as much. I think, we're given that latitude. We don't always use it that well, but we have it.